Welcome into the Yards After College podcast, powered by KSLSports.com. We are here with a Super Bowl recap edition of the pod, and with me to break it all down is Sam Farnsworth, who is fresh off of the slopes. He was able to enjoy the game last night, and then this morning he gets out for a little relaxation and recreational R&R for you, Sam. First off, before we get to the game, how are the slopes this morning? Was it your first time out this season? Had you been out already?
No, I've been out a couple times, but it was outstanding. First time back at Sundance Mountain Resort, which is where I went this morning, and awesome. A lot of fun. I don't look, you said to get some rest and relaxation on the slopes. At my age, I don't know if that's what you call it anymore. It was still fun, but man, the older I get, the more of a workout it is too. But it was a blast.
Relax and recreation, then we'll call it
Yeah,
that instead. You're not
recreation.
resting as much. You'll be resting tonight. Your legs are gonna
Yes.
feel it.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
100%.
I need to get out. I haven't been out this season, but I think I'll have some time now. Now that football is headed in the off season, we'll find some time to get up on the mountain. But Sam, Super Bowl 58 was weird, man. It was a weird game. I was sitting there watching with some family, obviously, and I had a bunch of people in the first half, even through like the first three quarters, they're like, "Yeah, this is a boring game." I didn't think it was a boring game. I just thought it was an interesting game because my prediction, we put it out on social media. We talked about it on the podcast last week. I was expecting high scoring game. I thought the offenses were going to kind of break out a little bit more, but the defenses, which really have been the strong, aspects of both of these teams throughout the season, I guess more so on Kansas City's side than on San Francisco's side, but they kind of had the game on lockdown. It seemed like there was a little bit of chess match going on for the first little bit. What did you think of the defensive performances and then kind of how the game turned there in the second half?
Yeah, the defenses were great, and that's that's what I expected from Kansas City in the Super Bowl, and you could tell by my uh, score prediction that I had going into it. But it at the same time, um, yeah, it felt kind of like a little bit of a sluggish game. Um, it was a very fun finish, but I don't know that I would necessarily call it one of the great all-time Super Bowls, but it was a lot of fun the way it ended, going into overtime, each team getting a possession there. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And overall, I think it delivered. It delivered a great performance for football fans. But yeah, the beginning there, it just felt, the first two and a half-ish quarters, it was up until about that muffed punt where it felt like that's when things really started to get going and get exciting. The touchdown pass that the 49ers had to Christian McCaffrey, and just watching him kind of just accelerate through that screen. There wasn't anyone that was going to catch him, but just seeing how he
Yeah.
accelerated to get to the end zone, it's like, wow, that's what Christian McCaffrey is. It's not like shocking to see him do that, but when he does that, it kind of reminds you, wow, that kid's athletic. He's fast. And when he gets the ball in space, you're not going to catch
Yeah.
him. And so, um, but Patrick Mahomes, my goodness, the way he orchestrated the offense at the end of the fourth quarter to get them into overtime, the way he orchestrated the offense in overtime to score the game-winning touchdown. Um, this guy, and he's 28 years old. All the things that he's already done, he's already thrown for over 30,000 yards in what, six, maybe seven seasons in the NFL. I mean, remember when
Yeah.
30 to 35,000 yards was like the elite benchmark? Obviously, the game has changed.
Right.
Obviously, it's
Sure.
changed, but the numbers that he's put up in his career to this point, winning three Super Bowls and three Super Bowl MVPs, you can understand why some people are throwing that GOAT word around out there with Patrick Mahomes right now. But overall, yeah, a two thumbs up Super Bowl for me. It was enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting last night. I was just, flicking around through YouTube, watching a bunch of recap videos, people's analysis and stuff. And NBC Sports' Peter King, he said that, quote, it was one of the most exciting Super Bowls ever. And I was like, I don't know, Peter. I don't know if I'm going to go there. Maybe one of the most exciting finishes, I think,
Yeah.
I mean, there's only been 58 Super Bowls, right? So there's, it's not like the entire life of the NFL that we're looking at here over 100 years, but I do think that the finish was really fascinating. I think that it was interesting because there were mistakes made by both teams throughout the entire game. And it seemed like the critical moment mistakes were made by San Francisco and they happened in the second half and obviously in overtime. And everybody kind of knows, I mean, if you're listening to the podcast, you're an NFL fan, you know about the 49ers decision to go for it first in overtime and whether or not that was the right decision or not. And a lot of people are ripping Kyle Shanahan for that today to really just allow Patrick Mahomes to go down the field with 4 downs to work his way down the field. And you saw fourth down conversion, third down conversion, like when you give that guy, and that was my take going into the game. And like I said on the podcast last week, I was rooting for the 49ers, but I couldn't pick against Patrick Mahomes because when you give that guy that many opportunities to take you out, and I thought he was going to win it in regulation. Like when he had the chance to go down and win it at the end there, and I didn't love the throw or the play call there on that
Hmm.
last pass to Kelsey, which Fred Warner made a nice play on at the goal line.
Yeah.
But I did think
It
that
felt
there
like a
was,
very safe call.
yeah, a safe call. I was like, go win the game here. Like,
Yeah.
and they also had another timeout with 6 seconds left, and they decided to kick it. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, you only took 4 seconds off the clock right there. I'd take another shot, just go super quick, make sure it's in the end zone, nothing
Hmm.
short. And then you're still sitting there with the chance to kick the tying field goal to go to OT. But the fact that Mahomes had a chance to win it in overtime and he ties it up, and then you give him another chance, or sorry, in regulation, and then you give him another chance in overtime to take you out. Like once he got the ball back and he was only down 3, I was like, this thing's over. Like Mahomes is not losing this game, right? Like, didn't you feel that way as well?
Yeah, 100%. That less than 2 minutes to go, game on the line. That's the life that was made for Patrick Mahomes to
Yeah.
live, right? And he's proven time and time again throughout his career that he thrives in those situations. There's
Yeah.
you can think of for me the quarterbacks that I think of in those situations over the last couple decades that thrive. Obviously, John Elway was one of them. Joe Montana at times was that guy. Dan Marino was, even though he didn't win in the playoffs. There's a list of these quarterbacks that you can come up with that you're like, okay, those are great late fourth quarter quarterbacks. And Patrick Mahomes became one of those early in his career, and he continues to deliver. So, yeah, when the Chiefs get the ball with the game on the line and under 2 minutes to go, you're like, shoot, he only needs like 40 seconds, really. But you
Yeah.
gave him a minute 50, he's going to get it down there. And so, um, yeah, it felt like every time they gave him an opportunity with that game on the line that you just knew what the outcome was going to be. It was kind of funny because if you go back, if anyone has a chance to go back and maybe rewatch the Super Bowl, I don't know if anyone does that, but just go to that last drive and then again the last drive in overtime and watch all the cutaways that the cameras take of players on the San Francisco 49ers bench. And the looks on their faces said it all. It's like they knew what was going to happen. They had just taken the lead on a field goal with less than
Yeah.
2 minutes to go. There's a cutaway of Mitch Wishnowsky on the bench. There's a cutaway of George Kittle on the bench. There's a cutaway of, I mean, just name your player on the bench. And Christian McCaffrey, every single one of them had that look on their face like, we're screwed. This isn't happening, and it's
Yeah.
just like,
Totally.
and that's the game that it was. They gave Patrick Mahomes too many chances.
Yeah, and it was interesting because like I mean, you hear this throughout the regular season as well. People are like, "Oh, like against such and such offense or quarterback team, you need to be aggressive. You need to go for, touchdowns. Field goals aren't going to win this game," kind of a thing. And Shanahan, that initial touchdown paid off because of his aggression in the first half and him being able to go for it there on fourth down. Then the Chiefs, like they end up giving San Francisco another crack at it because they had a penalty on, I think it was Snead that had a personal foul penalty that ended up extending their drive. And instead of having them punt the ball, they go down and they get the field goal. And so, like, there were chances there for San Francisco. I just feel like they made such interesting decisions. I mean, and they're going to be scrutinized for years, right? I mean, like, this is two Super Bowls in a row that they faced off against the Chiefs and lost both of them to Mahomes. And so I just, it's crazy to me how when we're watching a game and people were talking about it being like a microcosm of the Chiefs season, but it's like so true, right? Like it's all these little decisions they build up over a game or over a season, and they end up killing teams in the end. And Mahomes always seems to come out on the other side. I think I saw something last night. He was like 15-3 in his 6 seasons as the Chiefs starter in the postseason, which that's insane. That's wild. And that's why he is in this, conversation now where he's on that path to catching Tom Brady as the GOAT. I'm not ready to go there yet. I think that you
Right.
need to get let's see him win two more. And if he's in like the
Yeah.
5 range in the next like 4 or 5 years, then you can have that conversation because I don't think that it was even until Brady beat, I don't know if it was the Rams Super Bowl or the Falcons comeback where he finally kind of got that title where he was the GOAT. It wasn't, Super Bowl 3 or 4 that got it for him. It was 5 and 6 in New England. And then obviously like when he got it in Tampa Bay, everybody's like, yeah, like he's just Tom Brady. And so people are
Right.
like, oh, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest player I've ever seen. I'm like, let's slow it down a little bit. Like we're crowning him, like Tom Brady's only been retired for a year. Like it's been like 12 months. Okay, let's let it
Exactly.
let it have some time here. I do think that he is in that conversation of the next tier beneath Tom Brady already though, which is insane to say and he's not even 29 yet. So let's take a break real quick, Sam, and then we'll talk about the local players specifically. I want to get your take on how they played in the game and how they coached in the game as well. All right, welcome back to the Yards After College podcast powered by KSLSports.com. We kind of broke down the game in general briefly before the break, Sam, but I wanted to touch on the local players. You obviously had Mitch Wishnowsky.
I have one more comment on Patrick Mahomes to pick up where we left off before the break, just really quick, talking
Okay.
about just the GOAT conversation with him and Tom Brady. Until Patrick Mahomes is in a Dunkin' Donuts commercial, he's not going to be at the same level as Tom Brady. That was a great Super Bowl commercial. Speaking of
Great.
that one and Christopher Walken, the two best Super Bowl commercials.
Talking like
I
walking.
digress.
Solid. No, yeah, I like
Yes,
it. If
that was
if you
amazing.
want, you can go to KSLSports.com. I put up a recap of all the top Super Bowl commercials. So go
Oh
check
man,
that out on either the KSL Sports
what
app
was
or
your favorite?
KSLSports.com. I don't know. That Duncan one was super good. I really liked the
Yeah.
couch potato Pluto TV one. I thought that was pretty funny.
Okay.
There
Yeah.
were a few. I thought there were a lot of people on social media that were ripping the commercials. I actually thought they were pretty good this year. There have been
Not
some
bad.
down years, and it's almost like every year you expect it to exceed the previous year, right? Like you're like, oh, it has to be better. It has to be like I don't think that's always going to be the case. Like you're gonna have some down years, and I think that we've had a few. And I think this year was a rebound year. I thought it was good. I liked the halftime
Not
show
bad.
as well. Everything else, I appreciated the entire game, the environment, the atmosphere, the commercials, everything. Sam, I'm all about it. Just feed
I'm
me
right
Super
there.
Bowl.
Yep.
So,
I'm right there. I enjoyed all of it too.
but as far as the local guys are concerned, Sam, my gosh, he had Mitch Wishnowsky, who I thought he had a really good performance punting the ball, had a couple there. I think he had 3 touchback or sorry, not 3 touchbacks, 3 inside the 20. Maybe it was 2 inside the 20. I don't have it up in front of me right now, but he had that one that he pinned right near the goal line, which was a really nice punt. Fred Warner, I thought he had an interesting game. I'll say that because I thought he had some
Hmm.
really nice plays. He had a couple tackles right at the line of scrimmage that just he reads the ball really well a lot of the time. But man, late in the game there, Travis Kelce shook him bad, and I was like, it
Yeah.
was a fun matchup because it seemed like Fred won the first half, and then
Yeah.
Kelce and the Chiefs won the second half, and Fred had a
Hmm.
few moments where he looked like the all pro, but then like I mean that's what you get in these kind of games, right? When you have greatness on both sides, like some wins, some losses for these guys, but thought he had a so-so game in that aspect where he had some good plays and some ones he wants back. And
Hmm.
then just for the coaching side of things, Andy Reid, his his little moment with Travis Kelsey where Travis kind of comes over and bumps him, knocks him over a little bit, takes a couple steps back, but he's yelling in his face. You can tell that, he's heated about the fact that, they're losing in the first half, and it's the third Super Bowl in a row for them where they've, come back from a 10-point deficit. And it's just like kind of how they're built. But Andy Reid, my gosh, he is calm. He's like, he's in control. He's like,
Mhm.
Travis, like, we're gonna be okay, man. Like he like didn't get flustered by like he didn't yell back at him. He just was like, okay, like this is who you are. Like he was used to it, and
Yeah.
a lot of people are freaking out about it and like mad. Oh, that he should be suspended, whatever. This, that, and the other. I just I think that Andy Reid handled it perfectly in the game. The way he responded about it after the game was perfect, and he's like, hey, like this is just who he is. Like he's passionate guy, wants to go out there and win, wants to score. What did you think of the way Andy Reid coached that game,
Yeah.
handled the Travis Kelsey situation as well?
Look, I'm not like a Chiefs enthusiast where I'm watching every single game, but I've seen
What, you
enough
a
Chiefs.
Broncos fan, a Chief enthusiast?
I've seen enough Chiefs games this season and in the past handful of seasons with how well they've played, and beyond that, when I was still working in Colorado and the Chiefs were winning the division. I mean, I've seen enough Chiefs seasons and enough Travis Kelsey slash Andy Reid together to know that what we saw in that moment in the Super Bowl was uncharacteristic of Travis Kelsey. Right? It was heat of the moment, biggest stage of sports in
Yeah.
America, the Super Bowl stage. And he's feeling the frustration because the Niners are turning the ball over. They're fumbling the ball in situations where Travis is like, give me the football, was it, I can't remember if it was Pacheco there who fumbled it there inside the
Yeah.
10.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the situation, right? And Travis Kelsey's like, put the ball in my hands, right? Where,
Yeah. No,
and
totally.
and so yeah, Andy Reid, he understands it. The fans who are calling for suspension, stuff like that, those are just fans who are overreacting, who are not familiar with the way the Chiefs run, the way Andy Reid
Yeah,
is
I
as a
agree
head coach.
completely.
Andy Reid is very well known as a player's head coach. It doesn't mean he's going to do what the players want. What it means is he has a great relationship with his players. They feel like he actually cares about them as human beings, as almost like family members, right? But Andy Reid is also very smart leader and will tell them I listened to him on a podcast recently where he said that he learned early on that players want him to tell them 100% the truth. And he said, and the truth isn't always easy. It's not always what they want to hear. But he's learned that over the years, when he is 100% truthful with his players, that they respect him more. They even if it means they just lost their roster spot, they respect him. They appreciate him as a head coach and as someone who's got their best interests in mind. So Travis Kelsey getting a little flustered on the sideline, that happens to the best of players in any sport. I'm sure he didn't mean to
Right.
nudge Andy the way he did. Andy mentioned how he just caught him off balance. Um, and in his post game remarks, Andy said something like, uh, I understand Travis better than any other person does, or something like that.
Yeah.
And so he didn't think anything of it other than maybe caught a little off guard, like, all right, relax. There's still plenty of football left to go. And we were talking about Fred Warner earlier in that matchup with Travis Kelsey. Yeah, the first half was great. What, Kelsey had 1 yard receiving, I believe, in the first half. Second half, it was
Yep.
the other side of the story. And Andy Reid got the ball in Kelsey's hands when it mattered. The end of the fourth quarter there, who caught the ball for a 20-plus yard gain to get him into field goal range? That was Travis Kelsey, right? That's who they were looking for when Patrick Mahomes wasn't taking the ball himself. That's who he was going to. Was his go-to guy. And so everything worked out the way the Chiefs would have envisioned it, the way that you would expect as a Chiefs enthusiast or a fan. That's so Andy Reid is just such a pros pro. He's such a great head coach, such a players coach, and something like that, whatever, brush it
Yeah.
off.
Totally.
Um, and Andy is now a all timer, and we talked about this last week. Is he the GOAT head coach already? I don't know. He's very very close to being that though.
Yep.
Only 4 other head coaches have won as many Super Bowls as Andy Reid has.
No, he's definitely top 5. Like that's a lock. And I don't know. I think he's probably top 3 for me right now after that. And I think just finishing up this thought with Kelsey, it was after the game. Kelsey said that he basically credits Andy Reid for his entire career. They've been
Hmm.
together for what, 12 years or something like that. And so, like you said, like their relationship, their knowledge of who each other are, like, I mean, like, it's just it's a family member, right? Like they're gonna have those moments, but like it's like, hey, we're good, we're good. And then at the end of the game, like to be able to like celebrate a third championship together, I'm sure that they're
Hmm.
both just elated, and it kind of softens whatever like that might have been during the game and the heat of the moment. And you're like you said, you're gonna have that with football players. So Sam, I think that it's time. We've talked enough about the big game. So now it's time to look back to what we did before the season. September 7th, we did this. We recorded the podcast. We've done this for, I think it is 4 or 5 years now that we've done this. We've put our picks
Hmm.
out there, our preseason predictions, projections for awards, Super Bowl winners, all that fun stuff. So now that it's all over, let's grade ourselves. Let's see how we did. And so I've got it pulled up in front of us. And Sam, whoo, let's start off with the local guys and then we'll move to the general NFL stuff because I don't know how we did. We did well on some of it. And I know that back in September you said I'm going to be a little bold this time. I'm going to be bold with my predictions and I think that you nailed it with some of them and I think I nailed it with some of them and then others we did not do well. So let's see how we did. All right. Locals in the NFL, your MVP this year, Sam, was Jalen Warren of the Steelers. Mine was Fred Warner of the Niners. I don't think either of us were right in that. I think it probably was going to be Jordan Love, right? That's who I'd give it to
Yeah,
this year.
Jordan Love, or there would be a strong argument for Puka as well. But you know
That's
what?
true. Luke is good.
I will give you credit for Fred Warner. He was a unanimous All
No,
Pro.
that's true.
I don't know how many unanimous All Pros there were this
I
year,
think there was
but there
two.
couldn't. I was
Yeah.
going to say there couldn't have been many, and he was one of them. So I'll give you credit for recognizing that he was going to have another fantastic season.
And I guess that what this is my problem, and we talked about this with awards too, and I guess I'm guilty of it myself. It's like where it's like the offensive player of the year or the MVP. It's like these all mean the same thing. We're just giving them to
Yeah,
different people, you know. So
yeah.
anyway, rookie of the year, Sam. I think you get this one. You had Dalton Kincaid,
Mm,
and I had Clark Phillips. Clark didn't play a lot until I feel like the second half of the season. He had some
right.
nice moments, but Dalton, after a slow start, I think it was around 1st of October, he kind of clicked things into Gary. He missed a game there due to injury, but he had a really nice rookie season. So I think you get the
Hmm.
nod there for rookie of the year.
Too bad.
Break.
Too bad we didn't have the foresight with Puka, but who did
Yeah,
really? Let's be
no,
honest.
for sure, for sure. And that was what we were saying all season long is all these BYU fans saying, "Oh, we knew this was you did not know it was going to happen." And
No,
so
no.
that's why it wasn't there for us either. Breakout player of the year, Sam. I'm going to win this one. You had Rashid Shaheed who did have a nice year, but I
Oh,
had
hey,
Jordan.
Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I had Jordan Love. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I will make an argument for myself, but I agree. It's got to be Jordan Love.
Yeah.
It's too hard to. I mean, what he did,
Pro
how
Bowl
he.
as a special teamer. If he would have been Pro Bowl as a receiver too,
Right.
that would have
Right.
gotten it for you.
So, hey, runner up in the whatever the fair catch punt competition at the Pro Bowl too.
That's
Let's give
true.
him some credit
Okay,
for catching a
we'll,
5 foot.
we'll tie on this one. We'll
I'm
tie
kidding.
on this one
I'm
because I
kidding.
think
No,
they're
no, no, no,
both
no,
good.
no.
They're
It's
both
not a
good.
tie. But it's not a tie. The breakout player, 100% Jordan Love for sure. I mean, the
All
guy won
right.
a playoff game. The way
Yeah.
he played in the final 7-ish, 8-ish weeks of the season, you could say he was the best quarterback in football.
Yeah. I mean, he was a couple plays away from playing in the NFC Championship game, which is
Yep.
pretty impressive as a first year starter. Comeback player of the year, Sam. I think we both win this one because we both had Garrett Bowles. So we're gonna win. We're just gonna chalk it up to a dub for both of us. And
Call it.
Garrett had a nice season coming back off that injury. Denver, after a really bad start, they ended up playing well towards the end of the season, and we'll see what happens. I mean, they're gonna have a new quarterback probably this next season, and we'll see what things look like under Sean
He
Payton here
he
too. But
he was the Broncos nominee for the Walter Payton Man
yeah,
of the Year award. And for football fans who aren't familiar, that award might be the most coveted award by players, because that's the award they give to the players who are making a big difference in their community as well, who have just engrossed themselves in doing good around themselves in the community in which they play in, as well as maybe the communities where they come from. Um, you know, what Garrett Bowles is doing for children with learning disabilities in the Denver area, and I'm sure maybe he's
totally.
helping some here in Utah as well. But what he's been doing in the Denver and Colorado Springs areas for kids with learning disabilities has been such a huge thing. And so to get that recognition, even from the team you play on, is a really big deal. So you've got the 32 nominees, and then they pick one for the award. He didn't win it, but he was there at at the Super Bowl. They had all of the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominees there together to be recognized before the Super Bowl, and I thought that was awesome. Garrett Bowles is outstanding football player. He's becoming an outstanding community member as well.
Couldn't agree more. Let's move on. We'll run through these pretty fast. You got the general NFL awards here, Sam, and
Mm-hmm.
your MVP took a hit real fast. I mean, real fast. You had Aaron Rodgers as your MVP, who,
Oh yeah,
I mean, that Jets organization, man, it's just a dumpster fire. It doesn't matter who's there. Lose your quarterback
they
four
need a new
plays
head
in, and
coach.
they need a new owner, man. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go. It's from the top down at this point. I put it out on social media just real quick. Woody Johnson bought the team in 2000. He's had 7 GMs and 7 head coaches and more than 20 starting quarterbacks. At some point, you have to look in the mirror and say, it's not them, it's me. So,
Yep.
anyway, that's what I'll say at that. I had for my MVP, I had Patrick Mahomes. Again, it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes, but
Yep.
ended up being Lamar Jackson. But I did Super Bowl MVP, right? That's what I was really
Yep.
thinking. I was
Yeah. Yeah.
foreshadowing there. Offensive player of the year, Sam. It was Christian McCaffrey. I had Jamar Chase, who was in and out with injuries this season. You had Justin Jefferson, who was in and out with injuries this
Yeah.
season. Both of their quarterbacks go down with season-ending injuries. We just had bad luck on that. That's what I'm gonna
Yep.
chalk it up to. But next year, we're gonna get that one right. Defensive player of the year, Sam. You had Sauce Gardner, and I had Nick Bosa. Neither of us were correct. Myles Garrett ended up winning that award.
Mm.
Rookie of the year, we've kind of just done this into one. We didn't split it up to offensive or defensive, but
Right.
both of us went
Right.
offensive this year. You went Quentin Johnson with the Chargers, who I am interested to see how he does next year under Harbaugh,
Right.
because I think that they'll use him more. But I had CJ Stroud, so I win the award because Stroud ended up taking it home over
Mm-hmm.
Puka. But Puka should have won that award. Can we
Yes, he
say
should
that?
have. I agree. Yep.
He was
No doubt.
robbed, man. Robbed. It's the
Too much.
quarterback.
Look,
It's the quarterback
quarterbacks
love. Yeah.
quarterbacks deserve a lot of credit for the success of a team. Too much credit was given to the quarterback for this award, and usually for any award in general.
Yep.
But
Agreed.
hey, that's the way it is.
Comeback player of the year. Both of you and I, we didn't put this down, but we talked about it. We just figured it was going to be Damar Hamlin, and he was upset at the end. He just barely lost to Joe Flacco. I mean, did you see the tally, the vote total?
I didn't know.
So I think the way that it was broken down, if I remember right, I could be wrong, so forgive me if I am, but I think it was Damar had more first place votes, but he ended up losing the total by like 5 points or
Mm,
something to Flacco. So Flacco ends up Flacco football field wise definitely deserved the award over Damar Hamlin, but I just was I was surprised. I thought Damar was going to win that running away, and I guess when the Browns need a quarterback and you lead them to the Super Bowl, you just have to give it to that guy, right?
does that count as a local in the NFL winning that award now? Now that Joe Flacco's BYU fan attending BYU basketball games.
Yeah, did you hear that? BYU Sports Nation interviewed him, Spencer Linton, who does some stuff with us
Yeah.
as well. He said like his cousin goes to BYU. I was like, my gosh,
Yeah.
the Flacco connections.
Joe
I didn't
Flacco's a
realize it.
local now.
Didn't even realize it. Yeah,
He's a local in the NFL now.
yeah, that's funny. Coach of the year, you had Matt LaFleur with the Packers, who I think that was a really good pick at the end of the season, Sam. I had Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins, who that looked good really early on after the 1st
Mhm.
month, but faded real quick. And ended up going to Kevin Stefanski. Yeah, Kevin Stefanski of the Browns. So neither of us got that one right. But Super Bowl predictions. You had the Vikings versus the
Remember,
Jaguars. You said
I said I
bold,
was going bold.
and neither of your teams did really
Oh
well, man.
man,
That was
no.
brutal. The Jaguars almost made the playoffs, and then they lost the division in the last week of the season. And then once
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins went out, you had no chance there. I had the 49ers against the
Mm.
Bengals, so I had half of it right. But I had the Bengals winning it all. You had the Vikings winning it all. And once Burrow and uh, Kirk Cousins went out, man, our Super Bowl picks were shot pretty early on in the season. So next year, I think I'm just gonna ride with Mahomes until
Yeah, no kidding.
he just proves me wrong, Sam. But that's it. That was our picks. I think we did okay. I think we did okay.
Not bad. Not bad. It was fun. It
We'll
was
study up.
fun season. We'll have to, yeah. I'll have to get prepared for this upcoming season already. I'm already thinking what Chiefs Packers in the Super Bowl. I don't know. We'll see.
Whew. There's gonna be a lot of people have that actually. It's gonna be Chiefs, Packers, Chiefs, Lions. You know,
Yeah.
there might be 49ers, Chiefs again. There's going to be a lot of people that those kind of
Mm.
last 4 or 5 NFL finalists leading up to the championship games and Super Bowl. It's going to be popular again, but looking forward to the off season, Sam. I already have up on KSLSports.com. You can go look at it. It's the free agency tracker for the locals in the NFL. There's a dozen or so guys that are headed to free agency next month. We got the draft coming up in April, so we're gonna have all that covered for you in the next month or two as we head to the end of April, and then after that, it's gonna be training camps and summer workouts, all that fun stuff. July and August. So I mean, it's still going on. We're not gonna be lacking the content here, but Sam, I appreciate you being on the pod with me as always. We had a fun season.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun from start to finish. We had a lot of talking points with the local guys and good stuff all around. But before we hop off, what can you tease for me? What do you have as we look forward to the rest of the sporting calendar on KSL Sports Live?
What do we have? Football's over, Kyle. There's nothing. There's nothing left for us to look forward to. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, there's a lot. The All-Star weekend for the NBA. If you're an NBA All-Star fan, Lowry Marketing competing in the 3-point contest. We got a couple of Jazz players in the futures game. Keontae George, Walker Kessler. We had this weekend's All-Star weekend. We've got some high school state basketball tournaments already beginning, and yeah, that's the direction we go now that football is over.
Hoops is here. It's here for a couple of months at least. So.
Yep.
It'll be fun. You can follow Sam on social media at Samsworth_TV. Make sure to hit him up. He's on Threads. He's on Facebook. He's on Instagram. He's everywhere. He's everywhere, and he's also on your TVs. You can watch him on KSL 5 TV. Always, Sam. You break it down for all of us to learn more about this game that you've covered for longer than I have, at least. So appreciate your knowledge. We'll be back again next week to look forward to more of the off season. But until then, this has been the Yards After College podcast powered by KSLSports.com.